There's a technique that's used in pretty much every track release nowadays, and it's something you should be using in your tracks as well. It's a pretty simple concept, but it's pretty easy to get lost in the track and forget to apply it. The technique that I'm talking about is making sure that your track changes either slightly or drastically every 8 measures. Before we get started with the video, my name is John from Sandscape Audio. We're a music production resource community, and we post content like this all the time. So make sure you're subscribed here so you can follow along. Also, after the video, feel free to head over to sandscapeaudio.com to check out all the resources that we have, like loops, samples, presets, other things like that. All right, let's get into the video. Here's the track that we're working on today. It's kind of like a pop EDM style track, so we're just going to jump in and kind of break it down and see how we make some changes to keep it interesting to the listener. All right, so the main driving factor of this track is this kind of guitar lead that we have. It's not really a lead, it's just kind of like more of an arpeggio type thing. So we have that running through most of the beginning of the song, and then it does cut out at the drop, but that sounds like this. So it has that really like 1-bar intro, and then it goes right into it. We don't have any vocals in this track for today, but ideally that's where they would start. All right, so here is our first 8 bars. You can kind of see what we have going on here. We have some synth, some background percussion, some vocal swells, some things like that. So let's jump in and listen. All right, so right off the bat, pretty straightforward, but like I said, that was the first 8 bars, so we don't need to make too many changes in that. But we do have one coming up at the 4th bar in, and that's just this little vocal swell that we have right here. So I'll go ahead and solo that out so you can hear what it sounds like. And that just basically brings us into the second half of the first 8 bars. Cool, our first 8 are done. Now it's time to make some changes that are a little bit more obvious. So as you can see, we now have some kick and snare in there, and we also have kind of a funky bass rhythm that we added to that second half of the first verse. So this is what the drum section sounds like after we added those kicks and snares. And then the bass pluck that we added in there. So this bass kind of has like a droney sub in the background when the note is held, and then it also has that pluck attack, so I can get that rhythm out of it. All right, let's bring everything back in, and now we're going to hit the chorus, pre-chorus, build, whatever it might be, depending on how the lyrics of the song end up. But this is kind of another big transition with our third 8 bars. All right, so as you can see, we have a pretty decent change here. So we dropped the drums out, and then we introduced the drop lead, the little vocal lead that I have here, and I put a low pass on it, and it kind of swells up. So kind of just teasing it a little bit before the drop, and then we'll bring it in real heavy. And then also, you probably noticed the 4 bars into it, we added that little snare riser. And that kind of broke up those 8 bars, and like I said, making it a little bit different 4 to 4. as you can hear, everything drops out except for the end of that vocal chop lead, and then we hit the drop pretty hard. So let's check it out. All right, so obviously a lot going on here, so let's break it down a little bit at a time. So we bring the drums back in. We've added kind of like a drone bass here. We got the drums really crushing here. And then once again, just to break it up, add a little bit of ear candy. We got those kind of little timbali, toms, whatever they are. Some little accents. I also have them panned left and right. That's kind of just something that breaks it up a little bit as well. And then entering the second half of this 8-bar drop, we do a little 1-beat kind of pause. And everything except the vocal chop lead drops out and then comes right back in. So that's just another way to break it up. And we have this little tom fill here. And that's just real simple, just that 1 beat. Oh, and then one last thing for this drop, we've introduced this kind of rhythm guitar consistent thing going throughout the drop. It'll just drop off in spots like this when the rhythm makes sense. So that sounds like this. Kind of sounds like Dude Looks Like a Lady from Aerosmith. That Dude looks like a lady. That intro, maybe. I don't know. All right, so that is the first half of the song. So we had a very quick intro, a first verse, a build-up / chorus thing, and then into our drop. And that's pretty much half of the song as we have it arranged right now. And as you can see, there's a lot of different elements in there, breaking it up mostly every 8 bars, but then there's some little smaller elements that are kind of subconscious things that the listener is going to hear that also breaks it up. Now, when we move into the second half of the song, there's things that we can do to separate and differentiate each section from the first time we heard it. So there's things that we can add into the second verse that make it different from the first verse slightly. That way you don't feel like you're listening to the same verse. So one thing that we did for the second verse is we just left the drums out of the first measure. So it sounds like this. And then that kick and a little wood block come back in, and then we get right back to where we were. But when we get to the next chorus or build here, we've added some heavy toms, which are always cool. Trying to be a little dramatic in this section, so they sound like this. They don't sound great by themselves, but it's cool when you mix it in with everything, so. And then we go back into the drop. All right, and then the final thing that we have in this track is just a very short outro. It kind of recalls some elements from that very short intro that we have, and a few other elements from the verse, but it's super simple. Sounds like this. So it's a good way to kind of put like a little end cap on the song. Like I said, recalling some of those elements from the beginning, not making it identical, but kind of keeping it interesting up to the very end. So that's it. Keep in mind that your song should be changing at least every 8 measures, but preferably every 4 measures, even if it's just something little. It doesn't have to be this crazy change that the listener is going to notice right away. It could be something that they subconsciously notice, and it kind of just keeps them interested without really even letting them know that you changed the song. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe here. Also, feel free to head over to Sandscape Audio to check out some of the resources that we have over there. We just released our new kit, the Firestone Production Suite. It's got 1,500 files of production resources in it, so you might be able to find something that you like over there. All right, y'all, that's it for this one. I will catch you in the next one.